So as cyclists, we're often told that altitude can affect performance, but to what degree it affects performance is often a mystery to most of us.
So when you're riding at altitude, the air is thinner. Therefore, you get less oxygen molecules into your blood and into your body overall than you would do when riding at sea level. This means you have to increase your overall effort just to maintain the same speed and power output.
So to have a look at exactly how much it affects the performance of a typical amateur cyclist, we've come to Mount Teide in Tenerife to do an experiment.
So what we're going to do, Ollie's going to ride at about 300 watts.
Well, Ollie's going to ride? I thought you were doing the riding.
No, you are riding. You're right, we decided this, okay?
So apparently I'm going to do 2 runs. Firstly, starting here, which is at 600 metres above sea level, where there is no discernible effect of altitude on your riding performance. And I'm going to ride for 15 minutes at 300 watts. And we're going to look at my blood oxygen saturation, and we're also going to measure my heart rate throughout that period. And then we're going to move to the top of the mountain, right to the top of Mount Teide, and we're going to go above 2,000 metres, and we're going to ride again for 15 minutes at 300 watts. And again, we're going to look at the blood oxygen saturation and also the heart rate while keeping the power constant to see how much harder it is. In theory, it should be a lot harder. So we're going to start the lap now, the first 15-minute section at low altitude. Just over halfway now. One minute left.
So that's 20 seconds.
10 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, that's the end of the first run.
So put see what his readings are. So
am I.
80,
90 for blood oxygen saturation, and heart rate is at
1.5.
Well, it was at 168. We're just under 1,000 meters
okay.
of elevation at the moment.
So you can see already the oxygen saturation is just recovering very quickly. It's up to 95. So yeah, you looked comfortable enough coming up there?
Yeah, it was all right. I mean, that power is in theory what I should be able to do for about an hour. So yeah, 15 minutes is comfortably hard intensity, so should be all right. But we'll see how much harder it is up at 1,000,000 meters of altitude.
So we're going to take another oximeter reading just to see what Ollie's oxygen saturation levels and heart rate are before the second run, just to see that he's still alive as well. So you can see before we've even started the run, he's down to 93% oxygen saturation level, and heart rate of 81.
Well, 92. If you're at 93 at sea level, that equates to being a chain smoker.
So yeah, one more attempt, 300 watts, 15 minutes.
Great. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Minute and a half. Really biting now. 1 minute. 15 seconds. A lot harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you can see, his oxygen saturation level is down to 83%.
He's setting off hospital. Well, it was
a bit now.
It was down low. It was down to about 80.
Yeah, it was down to 80. It's risen a bit now.
But my average heart rate for that effort was 170. So you can hear how much tighter I am right now, and the perceived effort was a lot more. I was blowing up there compared to the other one. I was pretty comfortable.
A tough go, to say the least.
Yeah, I am hanging. A chance to recover now, and we've had a look at the data a bit more as well. And although it might not seem that my average heart rate was too much different, my max heart rate tells a different story.
Yeah, I mean, when you were riding the altitude segment, it reached like just over 180 beats per minute, which it's not really sustainable for if you were going to do this whole climb in one knock.
Yeah, that's above
wouldn't
my
be able
sort
to-
of threshold. So
Yeah.
my heart rate was just continuing to rise and rise and rise, and my blood oxygen saturation was going lower and lower and lower.
Yeah, so it dropped to 80%, which doesn't seem really horrendous and worrying. But if you were actually at sea level in a hospital and you got down to 80%, there'd be some alarm bells ringing, and they'd probably strap you up to an oxygen mask just to try and boost those numbers again.
I think the thing is that I can't sustain that same effort at altitude as I can at sea level, and I'd have to back off. I couldn't hold that same power for the same amount of time. It is much harder,
Yeah.
and I was just getting further and further into oxygen debt.
You also need to realise as well, we've taken these segments, like isolated segments. If you're riding that climb continuously, you're going to have oxygen debt like building up throughout the climb all the way up.
Yeah.
So it's probably, the effects are probably going to be even more than we've just shown as well. So you've got to take it into account.
Your response to altitude varies from person to person. It's a very personal thing. Someone like Nairo Quintana, who's been born at altitude, has a natural aptitude for it, whereas someone like Bradley Wiggins had to train on these roads to make himself better at it. So you can improve your response to altitude, but it is harder, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you shouldn't expect to be able to perform to the same level at altitude as you should at sea level. It's normal if your heart rate is higher and your power's lower.